Well, we're back right here on Hala Kuwait. Our guest right now, we have with us Mr. Mohammed Almeteb. He's a previous manager of Western Perception of the Islam Center. Mr. Mohammed, welcome to our program, Hala Kuwait.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to Kuwait Television again. You know, I've been here before, also with you, too.
And it's a pleasure to have you. Can you please tell us about your background and experience with the mosque tours, please?
Okay. Well, as you say, you know, my name is Mohammed Almeteb. I used to be the previous manager of the Western Perception of Islam Center. Worked for the Grand Mosque 1993 until 2020. And, you know, before that I used to work for Ministry of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs. When I worked for the mosque was a pleasure for me, you know, I mean, I enjoy it very much because, you know, I mean, you meet people all the time, you give them better understanding of Islam. You know, that's my job. And you came yourself with the guests before, and you seen how's the tour, you know.
Yeah, you do an amazing job,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mohammed. So what inspired you to become involved in tours and education in the Grand Mosques?
Okay, well, first, you know, I mean, when I worked for the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, before I used to work for Ministry of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, and they chose me because I speak English. When I worked for the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, little by little we start inviting people to let them know about, you know, I mean, the culture. Then, you know, find out, you know, a lot of the Western, they don't have good understanding of Islam. They think, you know, most Muslims, you know, worship black box in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Then, you know, we came up with the idea of, you know, Western Perception of Islam Center, which is actually not to tell you to become a Muslim, but, you know, to tell you why we are Muslims, you know, why, you know, I mean, the women wear hijab, why we pray, all those things, which is, you know, I mean, 93 until 2020, the Western visit the Grand Mosque of Kuwait almost 150,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah, and they have better understanding of Islam. You
That's
know,
very important.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Mr. Mohammed, maybe you could tell us about some of the key architectural features that define the Grand Mosque, please, sir.
The Grand Mosque of Kuwait, you know, they built it 1979, finished in 1986. When they built it, they said, you know, I mean, they told us this, you know, they said in 1977, you know, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Jabir, you know, he was driving and he saw the people praying outside. When he saw the people praying outside, he said, well, you know, we need a bigger mosque. Then, you know, they built the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, which is, you know, I mean, it's actually crossed from the palace, Sif Palace. It's in the heart of Kuwait and accommodate a lot of people. You know, built by the famous designer, you know, his name Mohammed Makkiya. You know, originally, you know, I mean, he's Iraqi, but he has British nationality. And the mosque accommodate a lot of people. You know, then when I used to work for the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, Grand Mosque of Kuwait considered number 6 or 7, you know, I mean, size-wise. And it's beautiful, you know, I mean, which is, you know, I mean, in 2015, they renovate the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, which is order from His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah, previous, you know, I mean, Allah yarhamah, you know, I mean, he ordered to, we want something fancy. That's why, you know, the architect, it's completely.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Very
the
beautiful.
Grand Mosque,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Mohammed.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to take a short break and then be back with our distinguished guests, so stay tuned. Well, we're back right here in the studio, and if you're just tuning in, our guest is Mr. Mohammed Almeteb, previous manager of Western Perception at the Islamic Center, and maybe you could tell us now about the designs of the Grand Mosque and how it's different from other mosques in the state of Kuwait, please, Mr. Mohammed.
Well, the design actually, you know, we have one of the largest, if it's not the largest, you know, I mean, dome, which is the dimension is 26 meters, and the height is 21 meter. Also, the Grand Mosque of Kuwait is unique because standing only in 4 columns, you know. They use, you know, the Moroccan design because they brought Moroccans, you know, for, you know, I mean, to design the mosque. Also, you know, the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, you know, I mean, they brought a lot of things from outside, you know, I mean, like, you know, the glass is from France, you know, the most, you know, I mean, they call it, forgot what's they call it in
Go
Arabic,
ahead.
you know, I mean,
it's okay.
They brought it from Morocco. Most, you know, the carving, you know, came from Morocco. You know, I mean, the carpet, you know, I mean, came, you know, I mean, from Switzerland, you know.
So from all over, explain a little bit about the mosque, the dome of the mosque, a little bit more about it, please.
Well, actually, let me explain, you know, what's the questions they ask.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I mean, first, you know, I mean, when we explain the Ma'dana, a lot of people, they call it minaret. Minaret, it's the actual name for it is Ma'dana, which is minaret, you know, what they use for the ship. That's minaret. They call it minara. Yes. Okay? But the Ma'dana, it's actually for the adhan. The adhan, you know, then, you know, I mean, the mu'adhin stand, you know, I mean, or stay higher, you know, and he will call for the adhan. When he called for the adhan, then everybody, because, you know, the Ma'dana is higher than the houses, you know, before. Before they used to prefer blind man to call for the adhan. That's why they have, you know, with the stairs, they have a rope to hold, you know, and he can go. Because when he called for the adhan, he will go around, you know, then everybody in the neighborhood, they can hear him. But why they prefer blind man, or he closed his eyes, you know, that's why he put his hand like this and he closed his eyes. Because, you know, I mean, first, you know, the Arabic style houses, you know, I mean, the yard in the middle and the room around the yard. And it's very easy to him to see inside. You know, that's why, you know, either he closed his eyes and put his hand because he don't want to hear and he don't want to see inside. That's with the Ma'dana. The dome, actually, to create an echo inside and to distinguish the mosque from other buildings. Because, you know, the mosque considered house of God. If I'm traveling from here to Saudi Arabia, you know, for example, there is no place to stay, I can enter any mosque and stay. Okay, but how I distinguish, you know, the mosque, because they used to build the mosque by the houses, you know, then, you know, if I see the dome, I know it's a mosque. Then it's combination between the mihrab and the dome. The mihrab, when your voice hit the mihrab, goes straight to the dome, everybody can hear clear.
Very well said. In your opinion, Mr. Mohammed, what role do mosques play in Islamic history and daily life, please?
Daily life, you know, I mean, it's, you know, let's say, you know, I mean, we are 6, 7 people in here. All of us go to the mosque every day, 5 times a day. And one day you miss, you know, then we start asking, what's wrong? You know, I mean, is he all right? You know, we will ask, you know, then we will miss you. Then somebody said, well, probably he's sick or something, then we can go for help. Also, during, you know, the invasion, the mosque played, you know, big roles. They ask about each other. Who need, for example, food? Who need gas? Who need this? Who need this? Who need this? That's, you know, the role of the mosque, you know. At the same time, let's say, you know, I'm walking to the mosque. It's a community things. You know, let's say I'm walking to the mosque, you know, kind of, you know, like, you know, upset or, you know, I mean, sad. And they ask me, you know, what's wrong? I said, well, my son not doing very well in math. They said, well, look, you know, I mean, my son, he's good in math. He can help your son, you know. And or I can say, well, my daughter's sick. Oh, you know, I mean, my wife, or you know, I mean, she know someone, you know, I mean, to give her, you know, medication or something.
Sure.
You know, all those things. It's social place.
Sure, sure.
It's very social place, you know, and that's why people, they go to the mosque 5 times a day, and they don't know the roles of praying. You know, I mean, if we pray 5 times a day, the 5 times a day, they don't exceed 45 minutes. Each prayer, you know, between 5 and 9 minutes, you know, that's why.
Very well said, Mr. Mohammed. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Do you have any last words for the audience watching Hala Kuwait tonight?
Well, my last word, I hope, you know, I mean, the Grand Mosque of Kuwait continue with, you know, I mean, the Western perception things, you know, to give the Western better understanding. Now in situation, we want to give the Western better understanding of Islam. You know, first, you know, I mean, when we ask any Western, the minute you say Muslim, they think you are terrorist. You know, now, I mean, with, you know, I mean, a lot of people, you know, I mean, speak English, you know, I mean, they can deliver.
That's why it's
the
nice
message.
to have the perception and change when people come take the tours of the Grand Mosque and so forth.
Of course, you know, I mean, like what I said, you know, out of those 170,000, you know, at least, you know, I mean, at least 100,000, they have better perception of Islam. You know, like what I told you, with the Western, they think, you know, we worship black box in the middle of nowhere. Why, they ask why man can, you know, I mean, marry to 4 women, and the woman, she can't marry to 4 men. Why women, they don't pray with men? All those things, then we give, you know, better understanding.
Mr. Mohammed, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We'd like to thank our guest, Mr. Mohammed Almeteb, previous manager of Western Perception of the Islamic Center. And dear viewers, visitors to the Grand Mosque of Kuwait can enjoy guided tours that showcase its stunning Islamic architecture, intricate calligraphy, and serene prayer halls. These tours provide insight into the mosque's history, cultural significance, and the role of Islam in the state of Kuwait. Right now we're going to move on to another one of our amazing reports. Stay tuned.